what was it for you that was your morning that you got to wake up and be like, oh, this is what I've accomplished? Was it the exit? Was it beforehand? I would love to know. Getting into America.
We found that challenges were one of the most important things to come along to us, because, well, okay, so this is a bit of a challenge. How do we get around this? Not so much how do we get around it, how do we turn it to an advantage? And that was always worth getting up in the morning for.
Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Roundtable with MRTG Capital. My name is Tom Goodge, and as always, I'm here with my friend and business partner, Mr. Mike Rohm. And today we have a very exciting special guest, the founder of Reebok, Mr. Joe Foster. Sir, thank you so much for coming here and spending a few minutes with us today. It's greatly appreciated.
It's a pleasure, Thomas. Pleasure.
So before we get any further, I want to just give this plug real quick because this was actually an unexpected joy. So Joe just had his book come out, and you're going to have a second one as well, right, sir? Of the Shoemaker. And we were fortunate enough to meet Joe through JT Fox. And first, we watched an episode with JT Fox as he interviewed you, and then we got to see you in person, up in New Jersey. And it's one thing to hear, someone that has a big name such as yours, but then actually to get to meet you in person, it was like, wow, this guy is like us. This is a normal, amazing guy, and just wanted to get to know you more. But as we read your book, it was by far, it went from, hey, we want to make sure that we understand who Joe is, to, I was telling my wife, I'm like, this man's journey is amazing. There's so many things that connect our entrepreneurial journey. Like, we had a blast. This is actually going to be the Christmas gift for many people this year. So greatly appreciate you actually taking the time to make this book.
Well, thank you, Thomas. That's very kind of you.
So we had a few questions. Once again, know your time's precious. I had a few questions for you. The first thing, though, it's interesting because when I was reading your book, you had such a long journey, right? It's an amazing journey that you're persistent. You're just dogging this determination to make it happen. I mean, most people give up on something after 2 weeks. We're talking decades, and it was insane to go through your process. And at what point, and then this is because for me, and just from a context perspective, we're on a journey where we both own multiple traditional businesses. I have a manufacturing business similar to yours, but it's in the paper industry. We have our real estate syndication business, which is what we do here for this podcast. But we have lots of traditional businesses, but we also hold full-time jobs as well. And we all, when everything is building, it's getting successful, it's great. But we always said, hey, we're going to feel so great that first morning when we wake up, and the one thing that we wanted to have go away, which would be the full-time day job, like that's going to be the most amazing feeling. So my question to you is, like, throughout this entire process, I mean, you had ups and downs, these wins. What was it for you that was your morning that you got to wake up and be like, oh, this is what I've accomplished? Was it the exit? Was it beforehand? I would love to know. Getting into America.
Oh, there are many points along that road which are very memorable, and I can treasure them as, yes, I get up every morning for that. And I think that the main thing was the challenges. That challenges are there, and that the first one or two, you worry. You think, oh my God, what have we got into? But then we find a new name, we find a new silhouette, and we think, those challenges, they were really meant for us. That's something. That's a lesson. We love the idea of turning the challenges and the problems into opportunities. We turn them into opportunities. We said there must be something here that where we've been doing wrong, or we could improve on. And we found that challenges were one of the most important things to come along to us, because, well, okay, so this is a bit of a challenge. How do we get around this? Not so much how do we get around it, how do we turn it to an advantage? And that was always worth getting up in the morning for. But you know, when we broke into America, we eventually got in there. It took a long time to learn a lesson. Well, or should we say, it took a long time to find that influence, that different influence. We've been trying. I've been over there. I had 6 failed attempts with 6 different opportunists who really wanted to do the distribution, and I failed. But when we got our 5 stars off Runner's World, we got credibility. And all of a sudden, that was the influence that would take Reebok into America, where Americans wanted to buy the product. Before then, whatever we did advertising, we pushed, we had people, but we needed that little extra credibility, something that just took us in rather than trying to push. It just brought us in. So moments like that, and the moment when you become the #1 global sports shoe company, that also is a memorable event. We'd overtaken Nike, we'd overtaken Adidas. So those were sort of events that no, really, we're really making it. So a number of reasons why you get up in the morning and you're happy to carry on, and we were enjoying it. So we were having fun, and that's always been the main driving force for us. Have fun, enjoy it. If you're doing that, success is just a matter of finding that little key, that turn point.
As you were talking about that 5-star event, I'll pass it over to you. When you talked about that 5-star event, that was when your book is written so well that you're on this journey. It's history for you, but as we're reading it for the first time, I'm cheering. Like at that point, I'm like, yes. I was like, because you don't know, like, right, which one of the shoes is going to get it. They all got it. Like it was written so well. It was so awesome. I just once again want to compliment you on that. But Mike, I'll turn over the next question to you.
So, excuse me, your response, I heard "we" a lot, and that actually was one thing I wanted to bring up. So one of your comments about the book, it said, along with luck and timing, it was people I encountered who made the difference between moderate achievement and monstrous success. And again, every response you just gave, you said "we." So how important was your team and the people behind you to build out that vision? Because you talked about the distribution and the failed attempts. It sounded like were you always on the same page as your team, or again, how important was that team that you had?
Oh, the team,
the brother.
To really get to places in a business like we were in, we needed a real team. And people didn't work for Reebok. They were Reebok. They were part of it. And it was building that culture. People came to us because they wanted to become part of Reebok. They enjoyed the culture there. We developed a winning culture, and it was good. We went to races, went to meets, and it was always, yes, we need to get the guys who are winning these races. Come on, guys. In those days, we could do that by just giving product. Today, we talk about influencers, and now being an influencer is a business, and people make a lot of money out of it. So certain things have changed. I mean, even Jane Fonda bought her own pair of shoes. We didn't even know she was going to do that. But it's those events that send you from being mediocre or just there trying hard, to all of a sudden going into the stratosphere. And we went from 9 million to 900 million on that aerobics event when it started. We couldn't finish it. It just kept going.
Absolutely amazing. And here was something else as well that once again just resonating with your story, and I had a question about. So, and I also wanted to point this out. So you talked about British, the culture over where you were, in England being, everyone wanted to be mediocre for the most part. Don't get outside of the pack, just stay there, be in your lane, get a job, and go to the pub and you'll be fine kind of thing. And you weren't born that way. You weren't wired that way. I do want to say that America was, you said, oh, hey, America seems completely different. America was the exact same way. I want to say that, right? They're just had people that were just like you that stood out that you were able to see. But I guess the question I wanted to have was, so you had a grandfather who started this, and it was, started this, in which his story was awesome, regardless if he didn't want global domination or not. Like, what he did was amazing. But then you're in this culture of, okay, we have this business, it's doing well for us. Let's just stay in our lane. We don't want to grow. We have our niche, whether it be your brother, your uncle, or your dad, or your uncle. Were there any other driving factors? Normally there's somebody that motivates us that we've met that really inspires us. It didn't seem like you had someone. It was just naturally in you, that drive, that determination, because you said your brother didn't have it. It pretty much was you. Was there actually any influence that a person that you saw, someone on a movie, someone that helped light that fire, or was it just always in you?
I think mainly it was always in me. That's why it took so long. Yeah, if I'd have had somebody to, could say not so much copy, but somebody to encourage me, somebody who I could sort of go to. I had one or two people I could go to, but not business-wise. In terms of what's your next step, there were people who would help me. If you've read the book, you come across a guy called John Willie Johnson, who became just a friend. He would buy machinery, and he would just let me use it. I think what he saw is he saw the energy, the determination, that plowing along that road without really having any guides, having to take each step at a time and taking risks along the way. Because being an entrepreneur is risk-taking, but it's not risks which are dangerous risks. They're just, we don't exactly know where this is going, so let's take that step and let's back that. This can apply to any business, whatever it is. And
absolutely.
This is not gambling on horses or taking really big risks with your life. No, this is just being willing to keep going. Sometimes just being willing to keep going. It's getting tough. How do we get through it? Well, we don't know, but let's keep going. Let's keep pushing this. The next corner we may find something which is to our advantage. But if we don't turn that corner, we'll never know. And we always look for white space. Where can we actually move into? Where our competitors don't seem to be doing too well, or not even there. And that was in the north of England. We had things like fell running. We had cross country. We had orienteering, because we had some hills to run up and down, and it's very wet, so that was very challenging. And those things, those events, we could always win at those events because we had the right product, we had the right people, we were on the doorstep. And also rugby league, which was just the north of England. Rugby league, we owned rugby league. Everybody wore our boots in rugby league. So we had areas to go. And when we talk about white space, and we were in America, and we dropped into aerobics. We were willing. That was great. We could move into aerobics. We're a running company, but pivot, we could pivot. We love to do that. We pivoted into aerobics, and that took us to that marvelous, almost $1 billion, from 0 to $1 billion.
Now, at that point, I was curious. So the idea is say, hey, let's get into this space. Nike, they're not in that space. They had no interest, even after you were crushing it in that space. How you and your brother were always making the designs and sending those over. And even when she was getting upset, you were making too many different designs and not sticking to it. For the aerobic design, were you involved hands-on and still doing the designs at that point, or was it more dictating to your team? Very, very curious there.
Oh, no, that was the team. You do so many things, but your team do so much more. The team brought ours, Angel Martinez. He was in Los Angeles. That's where it all started. So, I wasn't in Los Angeles, but Angel saw this as his wife, Frankie. She was coming home from these classes just full of it. And he's asking her, Frankie, what are you doing? And she said, aerobics. And of course, what's aerobics? What's aerobics? What's that? Oh, well, we're exercising to music. Fantastic. And that's how it started. It was great.
I know that we only have a minute left here, and I did have actually one important question, and probably one that you hadn't been asked before, but most of our viewers will be investors and those that are looking to invest their money in real estate or what have you. But a question that I had even when we were first hearing you speak, and I was asking Mike this, I was like, okay, you came from these very humble beginnings. You didn't have someone teaching you financial literacy, and obviously you were making your way as long ago, and you're very, very careful and measured, even when you're talking about upgrading your cars or what have you. But I guess when you had this big crazy exit, a lot of times when somebody, in your case, once again, you build it slowly, but a lot of times when someone comes into large amounts of wealth, sometimes they squandered it or what have you. That wasn't the case with you. What did you do with that at that event when you're gaining your wealth? What kind of mechanisms did you put in place? Like what kind of investments, what kind of teams did you have around you to help you in that area?
Well, I think the main thing for me was to allow Reebok to take its next step. For me, that was it. The money itself, I'd never been there for the money. It was always about Reebok, not about Joe Foster. It's about Joe Foster now because I've written a book. So
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a Joe Foster book about Reebok. But I think that it does change your life to an extent because you can do exactly what you want. But, for so many years, I'd been doing exactly what I wanted to do. And it was good just to step back and take a rest. And that's what I did. It was nice to stand back and take a rest because I stepped back before computers, before smartphones. And it's only when I stepped back and been resting and enjoying life a bit that we got computers and cell phones and Wikipedia and Google, and they started telling me how Reebok started. So that was it was all wrong. They even had a photograph of Joe Foster, founder of Reebok, and it wasn't me. I've no idea who it was. But so
my goodness.
that was the inspiration for the book. And then and now, having written the book, it's amazing to travel with the book and to talk to people like yourselves about the content of the book and how it raises a lot more questions than it answers.
I hope that we get the opportunity to meet with you again at some point, whether it be on a beach hanging out and just being able to speak with you again, because absolutely amazing. Once again, greatly appreciate you actually taking the time to set the record straight. And I'll say this before we close, just once again, if you haven't, got his book yet, Shoemaker by Joe Foster, do yourself a favor and make sure that you get a copy of this. It's absolutely phenomenal. Sir, you are an absolute blessing. We greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I know that we ran out of time here, and thanks for giving us a few extra minutes with you today.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Thomas. It's been great, and good luck with your enterprise.
Thank you so much, sir. If you would like to connect, please head on over to mrtgcapital.com and request time to meet with us to answer any questions you may have about real estate investing through a syndication. We partner with small groups of investors just like you, and we're always reviewing deals that could be of interest to you.